Well, the rapid fire was fantastic as always, and I love the new questions. And what we're going to do now is we're going to pivot into some other questions that are not from us, but from the different listeners and fans out there. And we have a number of listener questions, but our first one actually comes from a co-host, Darren Woodhead. And Darren wanted us to ask you, and this is a great question that I'm interested to hear what you have to say, is have you had a more sympathetic angle towards officials since your son became a referee? And tell us about his career and what level he's up to now.
Yeah, definitely. When he started off, I've got to say that referees were never mine and John's cup of tea. I personally really sympathise with them now. What a hard job they do. Possibly because, as Darren said there, you know, my son is on the other end, and when I go to watch him, he gets abused from everyone. He is a very, very good referee, and I've got aspirations of him going on to the very top. He is, I think he's level 4 at the minute, but I think he might be getting promoted next month to level 3. He's still just 23, so he's got a long way in front of him. But I go to all the meetings, and I've done a lot of talks at referees associations and societies, and I've got to know a lot of referees, and I speak to a lot of referees privately, and I have the utmost respect for them now. I've learned so much, and I'm a lot wiser than what I was 10, 20 years ago. And a lot more, unless it's a major thing, like a Trevor Kettle one, I very, very rarely go off my head at a referee now. Just the fact that I know that referees are human now. I never used to think they were human. I thought they were from another planet. So I've learned so much, especially the last 10 years, especially since my son, and especially since I go to the meetings and, talk to referees a lot better now.
Well, that's fantastic to hear that he's progressing that far in his career at only 23. And yeah, I mean, it definitely has to give you a little bit of a different perspective, like you said. And it's got to be tough to be the referee, because you're the one guy that's walking onto the pitch that nobody's rooting for, I guess. So it's a thankless job, but an extremely important one, of course.
Phil, it's impossible to watch a match now. I used to love watching a match with me 3 lads, James, Jordan and Elliot. Now, every time there's a decision, and we all, the Premiership games on a Sunday or whatever, and we're all watching the game together, and we're all shouting what a bad decision that was and this. And then all of a sudden, Elliot, no matter what, will back the referee. You know what I mean? So it ends up an argument every time, because he's a ref now. He's gone to the dark side.
He's gone.
The most blatant thing. And you go, that's a penalty. And he goes, oh, I don't know, there's contact and it wasn't quite that. And you'll go, oh, shut up, Elliot. And it's an argument every time.
Yeah.
Tony, did you want to start off with the next list of questions that we have here?
Yeah, we got a few in from Rob Russell, who, AKA the shirt collector, and we'll go through what he submitted. First one on the list, he says, "Do you think you'll ever take another job, or would you retire from Stanley? And what was the biggest job you and John Coleman turned down?"
Well, first part of that, I've never been happier. And I know John hasn't. We're really, really settled. And I know never say never, but we are so happy at what's going on at Accrington. We're made up the way the club is progressing. We have no aspirations whatsoever of ever leaving Accrington. In fact, I'm thinking now when I can retire. I'm thinking, I'm looking at, we retired at 70, 65, 80, how long can we go on at Accrington? Because the hunger and the fight and the determination will always be there in me and John. And, you know, I spoke about this. I haven't even touched about the staff. John Doolan has come in and has been absolutely exceptional. But brought a new dimension to the coaching staff as well. And then we've got the 23 coaches of Andy Gray and Jeff Brannan and you know, the physios are fantastic, and young Louis Stewart, who's the goalkeeping coach now. So we've got great staff behind us. We've got no aspirations to ever leave the club. On the turning jobs down, me and John have never ever had an agent, and we have never touted ourselves to go anywhere else. We've had sniffs here and there, but nothing. And I can only say this hand on that: we have never been touted to go for another job or for another job, for us to take another job and being approached. So I think people have said that, you know, why on earth hasn't John Coleman ever got a top championship club, the next step up with this or whatever? I can't answer that. I can't answer that at all. Maybe they think that Accrington and John Coleman and Jimmy Bell is the perfect fit and we'd never leave. I don't know. But we don't tout ourselves around. We don't have agents. We've got no aspirations to ever leave the club. And we just want success for everyone connected with Accrington. And we're fully determined. It would take an unbelievable offer for us to go and leave Accrington now. And I don't think Liverpool are going to come knocking. So I think they're safe.
Okay.
Well, I think that's the answer there that all of us Stanley fans were rooting for, because we definitely want to see you guys with the club for as long as possible, and you know, just continue to see the success that we have over the last 20 plus years.
Yeah, well, I hope so. Hope it carries on.
Let's move on to Rob's next question here. Actually, I'm going to skip the next one that was about the list, and I'll let you ask that one if you want to later, Tony. But the next one after this, this one, it's a little bit of a interesting question, and it's not the most positive question ever, but I'm going to ask it anyway. He's going to say, which signing over the past 20 years turned out to be the most disappointing? That's a tough one.
It is. There's been a few, and I'm not gonna mention anyone. I couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to.
Everyone who's signed for us has been our signing, so we're as much to blame as the player. You know, I know a lot of fans will have their worst player and say he was this and all that, but don't forget we signed them, so we'd have to take the blame. And if we name them, then we're taking the blame and we're putting our names to bad players. But they've signed. 99.9% of the players that we've signed are fitted into the way that we would like them to play, and the way the club is run. And you're always, in every walk of life, you always get that little exception here and there. And obviously, as quick as you can, you have to get them out the door as what they've come in. And you know,
it's a bit. Don't succeed. I was just going to say, it's a bit cliche, but it sounds like ultimately what you're getting at is that you and John own the outcome of every player. You're going to own that outcome, and you're not going to put that on the player.
That's right. You know, and then the opposite end to that, we've had some magnificent players, and everyone has given us their all. You know, I'm not even going to name the best players, you know.
Yeah, there's too many.
Everyone that signed for us, I'm proud. I'm proud of what we've achieved and what we've signed. And obviously, in every walk of life, you're going to get some bad apples and some bad eggs that haven't, you know, performed and done well. But on the whole, our job has been made so easy by the players and the way that they conform to what Accrington is and what we're trying to achieve and what we have.
The next question I was going to ask, and I think you touched on this in your first answer from Rob, so it's something that I think you really covered. He asked, does it irk you to see other managers from lower leagues get jobs, I guess in quotation marks, better jobs than you? But obviously, your opinion of Stanley, I don't see. Do you think you could get a better job?
I'm sure we could, but we've got the best job in the world. I'm not saying we've got guaranteed job security, but we've got a relationship with everyone from so-called tea lady right the way through to the CEO, the groundsman, and relationship with the chairman that makes our job so special, and one that every morning when you wake up, you can't wait to get in work and go and work with the players. Now, you turn the clock back 48 hours and the toxic atmosphere that was at Charlton, the Valley, on Tuesday night, it was absolutely disgusting. And that man, Nigel Atkins, had to endure 90 minutes of absolute torture by the fans. From the first minute singing, you're getting sacked in the morning, the home fans. It was absolutely disgusting. And I know years ago, we had an issue at Accrington, John did, where someone broke in and painted on the Coleman out on the pitch. Apart from that, our fans have been absolutely exceptional and behind us 100%. And, long may that continue. So we've got the best job in the world at the minute. And as long as we keep on doing well and striving and pushing ourselves, I think we'll have the best job. The average lifespan of a manager, I think, is 11 months. So to be so long in a job, we're totally blessed and thankful of everything that we've got.
Absolutely. The one question he had, and you touched about this, about watching your children, like Stanley, watching your kids grow, because Rob mentioned, he said, you've seen like watching a child go through nursery, primary school, secondary, college, and he's basically saying, can you see us finishing up college and going to university, which I guess would be his equivalent of the championship. And I think you touched on that before, but you can see it. You can see moving on as the kid grows, the club grows, right?
Yeah, definitely. I spoke about that before. It's been a journey. It's been an unbelievable experience, and I know one day it will all come to an end. But hopefully, we've got a lot of years in front of us. We're still young, though we don't look it. We're still young enough to have aspirations of managing higher up, and hopefully that's going to be with Accrington. I think I really, really hope that it is with Accrington. But if it's not, I think we spent 12 years in League Two. Accrington to be a stabilised League One club would be a massive achievement as well. So hopefully that and the odd push here and there to try and get in the Championship, maybe a couple of playoffs and have a little go at that would be magnificent for our little club, wouldn't it?
The last one from Rob was, from management point of view, our crowds seem to be disappointing, he feels. What would you do, if anything, you could do to stimulate crowd growth?
Well, that's what we spoke about before, didn't we? The shirt giveaway. It's building from the bottom for the youth, trying to maintain and the future of the club, that we have young fans coming through, and then fans are not going to go off and support Blackburn and Burnley and Liverpool and Man United. It's making sure that all them younger fans come and support their hometown team. I think there's only just over 30,000 people in Accrington. We've got a fan base of around about 2,000, which on the context of it is not that bad. When you look at, your Sunderland, how big a town and area they have, and the crowd that they get. I know they're getting 25 to 30,000. I think it's in context with that, and I think it's just the fact that we are a small town and we are a small club. How we get more people to come, I think you've got to start looking at the surrounding areas and trying to capture them. But then in them areas, you've got big clubs. You've got Burnley, who are still in the Premiership. You've got Blackburn. You've got Liverpool, 40 mile away. You've got Everton. You've got your Manchester clubs. I just don't know how and where we would get other fans from. We tried. Eric Worley tried a long time ago. He made it free to get in. We just got over 4,000. The next game, I think we were back down to just over 1,000 where they had to pay in, and we won both games. It's a very, very difficult situation, and it's not an envious one because we're being successful. I'm sure Andy Holt will have a few ideas of how he can move the club on. But certainly championship money would help. And I know you go into that hierarchy where fans, you get to the stage where fans don't matter. We could never have that at Accrington because fans do. And we have the best fans in the world, and it's the 2,000 that we get week in, week out are absolutely magnificent. And, I think we only had however many it was, nearly 50 to 100 what it was against Charlton. They're brilliant. And, I was turning away to my right and I was seeing the joy on them when we scored goals. It was unbelievable. But I honestly don't know how we're going to get more fans because there's bigger and better clubs offering bigger and better prizes than Accrington. But the experience of an Accrington match day is absolutely exceptional. That's what it is.
Without a doubt, Jimmy, because
like you said, the best fans in the world. And speaking of the best fans in the world, I mean, one of the best fans of any sport in all of the world is Mr. Carbar, Mr. Lucky Bus himself, and that would be Stephen Lowe, who has our next listener question. And Lowe wanted to know, how many penalties did you win during your playing career?
If there was VAR, right, me and John Coleman would not have played many games because we would have been banned every week. We were the worst divers of all time. But it's an absolute art. And we made sure that there was contact, but we made sure that we went, no matter what, we were going down. And a lot of the time, if you remember, Steven Gerrard was a master of it as well. When he went into the box, he'd move his left foot out to the side as they were coming in, and he'd make sure that there was contact. But me and John, we were I'm ashamed to say we were the worst divers, and we conned referees like hundreds of times. I mean, we started off at Bearscough together. John Coleman scored 23 penalties the first season I was there. I went down for 22 of them. Honest to God. He scored
we like to call
goals.
that gamesmanship over here.
Gamesmanship. That's the word I was looking
Kings
for.
of gamesmanship.
Not diving, gamesmanship. It's an art. It's an art that's gone out the game.
I think that's
always is a lot.
I think that's all I have for. Oh, I know. I got one more question but actually it's one that we had built into in sort of an important topic we wanted to ask Jimmy on, Phil, and it's a question that was being brought in by a couple of fans and
I think that we've had one or two people send in a question about this. I think there was like maybe one or two people cared about this.
John Earnshaw asked me, and I said we have it on the agenda to talk to you, Jimmy, and of course everybody's interested in the Dion Charles situation. I mean, we're not seeing him on the pitch, and we're not seeing him on the bench. The team is going on and winning. Can you shed any light on how things are, or can you bring us up to date on what's going on with Dion?
Yeah, it's a very, very, very sad situation. He's a talented lad. He's decided that his future lies elsewhere, which is it's hurt Andy Holt, it's hurt John Coleman, it's definitely hurt me and the rest of the staff, John Doolan and the rest. And I know it's hurt the fans because we've invested a lot of time and we've invested money in Dion Charles. He's refused to sign a new contract, a contract that he said he would sign if he never went in the window that's just shut. He's now reneged on that, which is it hasn't helped the situation at all. And there's going to be no winner from this, which is a situation that's not going to help the club. As I said, we would have benefited. I know we would have from having a Dion Charles in it. Dion Charles is not going to win from this. He's not going to get any game time, and he's going to find himself a long time out of the team. So it's a situation that has really hurt me because Dion is a fantastic player and a fantastic talent. But I know the chairman the way he is. I know John the way he is. They're not going to back down on this. And they feel very let down the way the situation has arisen with Dion. And the only way out of this is Dion signs a new contract. 2, he leaves in January. Or 3, he runs his contract down and leaves the last game of the season. And it's not very nice, and it's a situation that shouldn't have really happened. I don't know why Dion's doing this, because he's got the best chairman in the league, the best manager, and fans that absolutely adore him. But he wants to leave, and he thinks that the best way of getting the move is to run his contract down and leave for nothing. We think the best thing for Dion is to sign a new contract, get him to do well, and sell him. So somewhere in the middle, we are at the minute, which is not very nice.
I mean, from our point of view, if you're not playing, you're not showing your wares on the pitch, and that has to affect any contract he would sign. I would think down the road, the best thing to get a move or a bigger contract, if you will, is to be committed and playing and prove yourself.
Pitch, yeah. That we told him that. But he's decided. No.
Sorry, Jimmy. No, I was just saying that with January cropping up, and I mean there was interest in Colby Bishop towards the end of the window. Not I guess not serious interest, but interest nonetheless. If there could be a position where in January, if the right offer comes in, Bishop could be a target. Would that allow? Would you be allowed then, obviously, to sign a striker, or how would you look at the situation then?
Well, there is a lot of interest in Colby Bishop. He is playing exceptionally well, and he has handled himself unbelievably well. Exactly how it should be done. We've offered him. We've even gone down there. We've offered him a new contract now, and he's contemplating signing a new contract. But that won't stop your Peterboroughs, I don't think, of coming back in with an improved offer in January. I think they've been to every game since they had the offer turned down the last day of the window. So he's going to be a big target for clubs. But we're already on the lookout for replacements. We know that eventually that may happen. But also we know with the Dion situation that we're a little bit light up front. at the minute, and we'll be looking to bring 1, 2, possibly 3 strikers in January, hopefully.
Well, I think one of the comments that Andy Holt has made is that player will if they're sold, you have to get your investment in the player, the cost of developing the player, and the fee you get has got to cover that. You can't just it's long gone are the days where teams would under offer for a player at Stanley and they'd have to go or just wait out the contract. I mean, now they have to pay for what the work you've done in developing the player. And the Colby Bishop's no different, is he?
No. But Colby, the way Colby has addressed himself is absolutely exceptional. He's kept his head down. They offered to quadruple his wages, and we turned it down. We thought it wasn't in the best interests of the club at the time. Would have left us really short. And Colby has took that on board. He was really disappointed because, don't forget, he's not on unbelievable money at Accrington. And someone to turn around and say, you've got quadruple on money, he's going to be disappointed. But what he's done, he's contemplating signing a new contract, and he went on the pitch and he scored goals. I think the next night we played Barrow, and he scored 2. He scored 2 in that game, and we made him captain. And he's been absolutely exceptional. He's been a model professional, and yet he was disappointed. And yet we were disappointed, that he couldn't have gone on and bettered his career. But if he carries on the way he is, I'm sure he'll get the opportunity further down the line.
Well, he's a player that his hold-up play and his distribution, and he's all aspects. He can head. He's got a great header, and I just think he's. I know John speaks highly of him, and I just don't think he gets sometimes gets the credit he deserves, because he is really a solid player. Very rarely makes any mistakes at all that you can see.
That's right. He's getting a lot of credit now, isn't he?
Yeah.
And a lot of people are talking about him. So I'm sure he carries on in the same vein, scores a couple more goals. I'm sure the bigger clubs will come knocking on the door and offer a lot more money than what Peterborough did.
I mean, to me, he's definitely a guy where 3 years ago he came up from non-league, and each season you've just really seen him take another step forward and add more tools to his toolbox, if you will. Like Tony mentioned, he's really great at holding up the ball, his headers, just the way that he can get into position in front of the goal to, hopefully put the crosses at the back of the net. I mean, you just really see every year that this is a guy that's working hard and taking steps forward in his game.
That's right. Yep. Him and Dion were a good match.
Yes.
And I just wish, and I hope that Dion sees the light, puts pen to paper, gets on with doing what he should be doing, and plays alongside Colby and pushes Accrington on. Because if we had him and we had, possibly another left-sided defender, I think we could make them playoffs this season, if not go a little bit higher. I think we've missed Cameron Burgess.
Yeah.
And we've missed Dion. I think everywhere else we're pretty solid.
Well, it's been fantastic having you on the show today, Jimmy. We really appreciate you taking the time with us. Before we wrap up, was there anything that we hadn't asked you about that you wanted to talk about today?
No, we've touched on a lot of things, and we haven't touched on the 23s, have we? What a fantastic job Jed and Andy Gray are doing the 23s, and it's an area that we've spoke about, developing players. They do a fantastic job, and we've got some really great under 23s coming through. and hopefully that they'll be the future, and we'll be able to sell them on in a year or two's time when they break into the first team. But I think that's a big part of Accrington moving forward, is being able to get that gap between 18 and 21, 23, where players drift out the game, keeping them involved, giving them a little taste of first team football, develop them, and hopefully, they flourish and go on to bigger and better things as well.
I think, Phil, I think Jimmy, looking at our show notes, because I just looked back and that was one I had and I missed it. Because this is what I wrote down. I know. This is what I wrote down. I said, you touched on the under 23s last time on the podcast, how that area developed. How has that area developed over the past 18 months? How important is it for players knocking on the door of the first team in terms of gaining experience? And you touched on that. So I apologize for missing that, but thanks for catching that.
To me, it's exciting having homegrown talent at Accrington Stanley. I mean, that's just for me. That's just a whole new thing where you don't have guys coming from non-league or loan players, but guys that have come through the Accrington Stanley Academy. That's just exciting.
Yeah, it is. As you say, every fan throughout the world loves their own players, homegrown players in the team. Don't they? I think they all sing. Don't they? He's one of our own. They love singing that song. And there's not many round now, is there? Homegrown players who actually go on at the top level. But certainly in League One, League Two, having them homegrown players is a must, and to develop them for the fans and seeing that the joy that they do bring the fans is quite unique, isn't it?
And on top of that, I think from another aspect, from Andy Holt's view, it's another possible revenue stream, developing these players that you develop and can go on to bigger and better things. So I just want to say it's been a real pleasure for me chatting with you, Jimmy. I mean, I appreciate your time and your candor and your honesty. And I've got my trip booked for next season, and I think the everything should be. I should be able to make it over next season, and I promise I'll buy you a cider in the new lounge if you're up to it.
Look forward to it, and I'll hold you to that one. I definitely hold you to that one.
Well, apparently Darren Woodhead says I owe him a few more, so I might be there. I might have to just get a taxi to the match.
Saving up now.
Yeah.
With his trivia contests, Darren is adding up some points on you, isn't he, Tony?
Yeah, I owe him a few, but he won't let me forget anyway. I'm sure of that. So anyway, Jimmy, continue success.
Listen, from me and John and all the squad and all that, we all listen to the podcasts, and I think you all do an absolutely magnificent job, and especially through lockdown, you kept everyone going. You'd absolute credit, and we do appreciate everything that you do. So thank you from all of us.
Appreciate that.
That's the most incredible compliment that we could get, is to hear that you listen to the show and enjoy what we're doing. And we just enjoyed having you on so much, and talking about everything Accrington Stanley, and like Tony said, we really appreciate all of the honest and candid answers, and letting us ask you anything that we had on the list. And I think Tony's signature quote is continued success, and that's what we want to see, is just continued success for you and all of Accrington Stanley, and lots of wins and moving up the table, and hopefully making that Mars to Jupiter jump to the champion.
Enough of the planets. Yeah, enough of the planets, Phil. Anyway, thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate it.
Brilliant.
Well, we like to finish up with an on Stanley on. So if everybody's ready, on 3, 1, 2, 3, on Stanley on.
Stanley on.
Cheers, Jimmy.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you. Speak to you soon.
Take care.
Take care.